wahdini wajburni wa'afini wa'fu anni. Each one is a dua, dua, dua. And a combination of different ahadith to make this dua up. When you're sitting, dear brothers, then when your right foot is up, then you're not sitting on your right foot. Your right foot is away from your glutes, yeah, your buttocks. It's away from them. So it's on the side of them. And your right foot is up. And your toes should be bent onto the floor, facing the Qibla. When your hands are on your thighs, then they should be on your thighs and not over your knees. They should be on your thighs. You don't need to join the fingers there. You can have them normally spread out. You don't need to join the fingers necessarily there. Everything there is a mannerism to do. Then after you've read this dua, go into sajda a second time. In every rak'ah in which there is no tashahhud, sit upright for a moment to rest, then stand face now. After your second sajda in the Shafi'i fiqh, you sit down and you pause and then you stand up. But in the Hanafi fiqh, straight after your second sajda, you are going to go straight up when there is no tashahhud. Then stand placing your hands on the ground but not putting one of your legs before the other while rising. So the way how you come down is the way how you get up. So if it's the knees first down and your forehead was last, then the forehead is first up and then the knees are last. It's the reverse. Now if a person has some kind of difficulty, back pain, some level of knee pain, etc., and they can't land on the ground with their knees first, then there is allowance that they go with their hands first. Their hands first, then the knees come.
In sajda, after Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, can one do dua?
So if the salah is your own salah, then you can extend it for as much as you want. The only restriction in positions in salah, the first and foremost is qiyam. When you stand in the position of reciting Quran, then that's a position where you can only recite Quran and anything else. Du'as you can do in that position as well, but Quran is restricted to qiyam. You can't do Quran in any other position of salah, but you can do anything else, remembrance of Allah in any shape or form, in any other position of salah. But best is always to stick to the masnoon ad'iyah and the masnoon azkar. But when the imam is praying, then he wouldn't elongate like we already mentioned before. But tomorrow there'll be lots of elongation. What salah is it tomorrow? Salatul Kusuf, solar eclipse. Starting at 6, we're starting here at 6:20 p.m. This is the 6th salah of the day for tomorrow. So tomorrow, in Jama'ah, we will be performing 6 salahs. Tomorrow's a special day. A day to fear, indeed, because it's solar eclipse. So in that salah, the imam is actually recommended to do the salah for as long as the eclipse takes place, is 2 hours, but we won't be able to do that tomorrow. But the ruku' is very long. The qawmah after standing up for ruku' is very long. The sajda is very long. So if you are a person who cannot stand for long, sit for long, etc., whatever your position is, because it's a nafal salah, meaning like it's a sunnah, it's not a fard or a wajib, therefore you can place a chair where and then you can stand on the sides. If you're using a chair, stand on the sides, then stand, and when your legs give way, you can just sit down basically. Even if you have no excuse in any salah except for fard and wajib, then you can just sit down and pray that salah as well. However, your reward is less. Begin the takbir when you are near the end of the sitting for rest position and prolong it until you reach halfway to the standing position. This sitting should be brief. According to the Ahnaf, there should be no part of salah that is left without the dhikr of Allah. So therefore, when you say your Allahu Akbar from sajda, then your bar should finish when you are standing, so that now you may do your tilawah of the Quran. Similar, when you want to say Allahu Akbar from standing to go into sajda, then you start from when you are standing and you end when you get into sajda. So no position and transition remains without the dhikr of Allah. Then you'll perform the second rak'ah as you did the first and repeat the ta'awudh at the beginning of it. Now in second rak'ah, the ahnaf, they don't do ta'awudh. The only time you say a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim is in which rak'ah? The first. After that, what will you say before Fatiha in the next rak'ah? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Before surah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Then sit in the second rak'ah for the first tashahhud. First tashahhud if you are going to pray a 3 or a 4 rak'at salah. And put your right hand on your right thigh with the fingers closed except for the index finger and thumb. Now look, this is a different way, so I'm just going to explain it a very simple way for you. When you place your right hand on your right thigh for the Hanafi fiqh, then you're going to start off with flat hands and open fingers. When you are going to do nafl of all types of gods, when you're going to say La ilaha, yeah, La ilaha, there is no God, then that's the time where you're going to raise your finger, your index finger, your shahada finger, and you're going to raise it facing towards the qibla, yeah, not towards the skies, towards the qibla. You're going to raise it. And when you do ithbat, illallah, except Allah, when you're going to affirm Allah, that's when you're going to lower your finger, your index finger. So, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Yeah, that's the motions of up and then down when you do it. Now, how should the rest of your other fingers be positioned? So there are different ways of doing this, but one way is on the side view. If I give you, after you raise your shahada finger for your ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, then your thumb and your middle finger will join like this, and they will form a circle. Can you see the circle? And then you will lower your finger. So this index finger, regardless of the position of it, meaning the circle remains. Yeah, this circle remains. These last two fingers get wrapped, and the middle finger and the thumb, they form the circle. Now once you've finished with the index finger and you lower it, then you don't lower it to the extent that you drop it completely on your thigh and you close the circle, but you keep the circle open. So this is how you lower it. This is the angle you're going to get. Yeah, so it's like this. So it's slightly raised from above your thigh. So we turn the page, inshallah. After completing this, meaning your at-tahiyyatu lillahi was-salawatu was-salamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once you completed your entire tashahhud, then you're going to do your salat and salam upon our beloved Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and then you're going to make dua. And after dua, you're going to make your salam, both sides. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. When you turn, then you should turn in a way that you are aiming to look at your shoulders. Yeah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. You want to look at your shoulders. Now, when you are looking at your shoulders and you are reading in congregation, then you should be making intention of that salam to more than yourself and the angels on the right and the left. The kiram al-katibin. You should be doing to more than that, because there's other people praying. That's why your niyyah and your intention when you're praying in congregation is that all the people to my right, including the angels, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And let's suppose that the imam is on your left. So now you will say, all the people on my left, including the imam and the angels. You may make intention of jinns as well. You can do that. They are makhluk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They join in matters like this, the good ones. So you'll say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's salam. It's like you give to a human. So you're making intentions to all the people that are potentially involved in this action that you want to give salam to. This is the method of salah for one performing it alone. The pillar of the prayer, so the arkan and the umud, the pillars of the prayer of salah, are humility and presence of the heart, together with the recitation of the Quran and the remembrance of Allah with understanding. Imam Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah would say, every prayer in which the heart is not present is more likely to receive punishment than reward. Allah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, verily, the slave of Allah performs the salah, and not even a sixth or a tenth of it is recorded for him. Verily, only as much of a slave's salah as he is conscious of in his salah is recorded for him. That this was salah performed, and that which his mind was everywhere and his heart was everywhere, that wasn't salah. So how important is it to not only remain humble in salah, but to remain present in salah as well, and to reflect on the Quran and the tasbihat, etc. that you are reciting. Everybody seems very tired today. There's only one person talking, that's all. There are 3 parts to this book, and the first part is not near completion. The first part is to do with the do's, the second part is to do with the don'ts, and the third part is to do with the inside world with Allah, which means that there's a possibility that we will inshallah continue with this book for further than these 8 weeks. 8 weeks is today, and we said we'll try to complete the book in 8 weeks. Far from it. Yeah, it's because I go slow and then you're not able to concentrate, so that's why.
Another question, please. You know, when you say this way is a Shafi way, this is a Sufi way, are we permitted to do that, or is it just for Islamic way?
So the different madhahib in Islam, they are different.
Islam is a Muslim.
So if I go into Urdu, then madhab means something different, and if I do it in Arabic and English, then it means something different. So we're going to try to stick to Arabic English for now and not go Urdu, otherwise we're just going to confuse both ways. So simple is that the Quran was revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained the Quran to the Sahaba radiallahu anhu ajma'in. Among the Sahaba, there were those who saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam do the same action at a different time in a different way. When these actions were recorded by the companions and passed on to the ummah, the generation after, then they passed it to the generation after. There's a lot of categories that define whether this action becomes suitable for practice or not. When I say suitable, I mean most preferred way. Because if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did 2 things for the same situation, now which one would we call the sunnah? Because sunnah is the most preferred way. So all after that generation, a few generations, a collection of hadith happened, and an effort was made to define what is the sunnah. And in that, a lot of things were taken into consideration, which is the chain of narrators, the character and the excellencies of these narrators. How much? To the extent that if anybody in the chain of narration missed one salah after they became baligh, one salah, then that hadith that everybody else may have not missed, but that hadith that I heard from him and he heard from him, and this companion Sahabi heard from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no matter if everything else is sound, but this hadith will not be classified as sahih, meaning the most correct and the most accurate. It won't be classified. Why? Because one of the narrators missed one salah. This is nothing to do with narration, just his character, but missed one salah in his life after becoming baligh. Similarly, if he miss he passed on a narration and he missed a word or so, and it was known that he missed a word, then even this is a defect, such a defect that the hadith can't be classified as sahih. So there's very strict, rigorous narrations how these chains were protected. Came a generation where there were imams who tried to say, right, okay, the muhaddithin, they collected the hadith and they scrutinized it and they graded it for us. We want to now deduce rulings from the Quran and hadith, but again there's going to be two different ways of doing things, etc. So we need to set principles as to how we will find the most correct way, or the most better is the most closest way to the Quran and Sunnah. Now, because there was no one definite way and there were multiple ways, then many people tried this, but 4 people's fiqh survived the age. And what survives the age in this spiritual world is that which is done most sincerely and which is actually the closest to the Quran and Sunnah. That survives. Similar, Imam Al-Ghazali rahimahullah published a work. I publish a work. Will mine also survive 700 years, 500 years like this? So this is question. Question is what? How sincere was the author and how close was he to the Quran and Sunnah? So his work survives. So the fiqhs, they survive. The jurisprudence and the mannerisms and laws and legislation survived of some collectors and some compilers and some jurists. Why? Because they were sincere and closest. So when we say that Imam Shafi'i rahimullah, this way is according to Imam Shafi'i rahimullah, this way is according to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimullah, this way is according to Imam Malik rahimullah, this way is according to Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahimullah, then these are famous four fuqaha whose deductions and conclusions have survived the ages, from non-Arabs to Arabs and right across the world to different languages. They survived. It's an amazing feat. Amazing feat. However, a person would then have to be mindful as to what does he choose as a way for himself. So if you brought up in a home that follows a certain fiqh, or if you're brought up in a community that follows a certain fiqh, or your local masjid is the one that follows a certain fiqh, then it's easiest for you to just follow that fiqh. Why? Because everyone's doing it. If you ever have a question, there'll be someone to always ask. Like the imams follow certain fiqh, always a certain person to ask, an informed person. What would I do if I started to bleed in salah? So they'll be able to tell you the answer. If you were to move countries and go into a place that follows a different fiqh now, 20 years later into your life, and you're going to stay there for your life, then you may choose, I'm going to now move over. I'm going to learn the other fiqh and I'm going to move over. Why? Because now it's convenient that everybody is doing this, that I'll just do it as well. So you learn, educate, and then you move over. That is fine, that's okay. What's not okay, or what is under question, what can be questioned is that if you decide with your limited understanding and lack of knowledge of the sciences of hadith and juristic prudence and etc., all this, that you know what, in this matter I will follow Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, and in that matter I'll follow Imam Malik rahimahullah, and in that matter I'll follow Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, and in that matter I'll follow Imam Malik rahimahullah. Now these imams, they followed, or they deduced what they deduced, not based on what they thought was correct, is what they learned, meaning the sciences they prepared in order to deduce, and then they deduced based on principles. So their deductions were purely based not on following desire or following ease or following anything. It was purely following Quran and Sunnah to the best of their understanding. Now, when a person starts to choose like this between 1 to 4, then what is he choosing based on? Because he doesn't have the knowledge that they had. He doesn't know the sciences they knew. So now what is he choosing based on? So we're not saying any one of them are incorrect, but we're saying that where is this desire to practice upon a certain aspect in your life according to a different Imam, where is this coming from? And this is the inside world. And Islam is a lot about spirituality and inside world. So just because the actions externally may be defined correct, because how would the Imam ever go do wrong, and why would his fiqh survive? But the question isn't, like we're doing right now, that salah, not even a tenth of it, not even a sixth of it will be accepted, that which is mindless.
Exactly the point. Reading this book, you're saying this thing is, doing this way, and we do this way. So that's what our question is.
It's fine. It's fine, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. And upon that, inshallah, we conclude. Now, next week and the week after, for the remainder of August, the Tuesday and Wednesday durus. So tomorrow there will be one more dars, the one that we do on Wednesdays, but then for the 2 weeks after, the durus will be postponed. There's another activity that will be taking place, another circle, that will be from Asr onwards, and it may be till Asr till Maghrib, but it will be Asr onwards for the upcoming Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And that will be the opportunity to correct your Surah Yasin with Shaykh Jalal from the front of the masjid. So it won't be a tajweed lesson where you're theoretically being taught, but it will be a recital. So everyone gets a chance to recite, and then everyone gets to learn from each other's mistakes. And we all understand that nobody's perfect, so nobody's going to be humiliated. But if you have that level of humility, that you're able to be corrected among everybody and still not feel bad in yourself for being corrected or ashamed or whatever those feelings may come from inside, then it's a very beneficial halaqah. Because some people, they're not good theoretical learners after they reach a certain age, or generally they're not. So they learn practically. So tell me how to do it, I'll do it, but don't teach me a route because I can't remember it. So if you're that kind of a person, then next Tuesday, Wednesday, I think it's Monday till Thursday. We're just going to check the days of how it's going to be. Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. 3 days next week and 3 days the week after. The last 2 weeks of August, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. After Salatul Asr, this will take place. So all brothers are requested, inshallah, participate to that. As for this book, we'll continue or may not continue in September. We'll see, inshallah, what's best after Shura. And the Wednesday one tomorrow, we'll try to conclude the book. If we don't, then we will see what we do in September, inshallah. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanallah al-azim, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Good refreshment. Good refreshment.
कोई देने वाला है? Assalamu alaikum. How are you okay?
Alhamdulillah. And yourself?
Alhamdulillah. Good.
When you going to finish up with Dars al-Quran? You missed that.
It's been stopped for such a long time. We got 9 juz left, isn't it? About
9 juz left, yeah.
To finish that as well.
Inshallah.
All these things we will finish, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
That's right. काफी देर हो गई खिदमत की थी ओए 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 अल्लाह पाक खुश रखे ओए चलो बस काफी है ना अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह कुछ कराया भी करो थोड़ी जी कुछ थोड़ा कराया भी करो ना कोई नहीं कह रहा जी थक ना जाओ ना चलो बस बहुत देर बैठे थैंक यू वेरी मच